Hey everybody, welcome back to a new video. A couple months ago, I tested this awesome adapter cable from Pecron. Basically, it connects to the battery expansion port, giving you direct access to the 48-volt battery inside. Now, after that video, I had a lot of people asking me, what would happen if you connected up a 48-volt battery to the power station using this adapter cable? Can you use it as a DIY expansion battery? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. Now for the testing in the video, I wanted to use an affordable yet high quality 48-volt battery. I requested that VATRER send out their 100 amp hour server rack battery, and this is the updated version. Now a lot of people have already tested this battery with good results on YouTube, but I'll just quickly highlight what I like about it. I love that it has this breaker here that acts as both a power switch and overcurrent protection. I love that it has two lugs for each the positive and negative, so it's easy to connect up multiple loads. And also this display is really good. Now this screen gives you a ton of information. For example, you have the state of charge and then the status of the battery, whether it's charging or discharging. Right here you have the current, the voltage, the temperature, and the time till empty based on the actual load. Now if you push this, you get to the next screen. It shows you the capacity of the battery, how many cycles that you've done on the battery, the minimum and maximum temperature, and then at the top you have the charging and discharging MOSFETs that you can turn on and off. Now the final screen gives you a breakdown of each individual cell voltage, and you can see that these voltages are very well matched. Now this particular battery is rated at 5,120 watt hours, so you'll get around 5,000 watt hours of additional capacity in your setup by using this battery. Now the main benefit to this battery is the pricing. You can pick this up on Amazon for $860 with free shipping. Now that is amazing because these are heavy batteries, and typically you have to pay over $250 freight shipping when you purchase a battery like this. Now the first challenge we have is connecting this adapter cable up to a 48-volt battery. Let me show you how I did it. At the end you have two XT60s, which are female connections, and these use 12 gauge wire, so each one of those is rated for 20 amps. So I purchased three different things right here to make it compatible with a 48-volt battery. First, we have a 40 amp DC breaker. Next, we have two XT60 pigtails. These are male pigtails. And finally, we have this jumper, which is 8 gauge wire with 5/16 ring terminals. Now I've laid out everything on the table of how it's supposed to be connected up. This is all rated for 40 amps. That's why we're using a 40 amp DC breaker. So each of these pigtails are connected up. I'm going to strip back the insulation, and I'm going to install both positives on the positive side and both negatives on the negative side. And then for the 8 gauge wire here, I'm going to cut off the ring terminals, and then I'm going to strip back the insulation and install these ends on the positive and negative side of the DC breaker. And then we'll have the ring terminals connect up to the 48-volt battery, and then we connect this side up to the power station. So this is what it looks like with the ring terminals cut off and the insulation stripped back on both sides. And then if we take the breaker here, you can see this is the positive side, which goes straight through, and then this is the negative side. We have our positive and negative connected in, and I've tightened down these two screws so these don't pull out. Same with the other side. Now if we look closer at the actual breaker, in the on position it's black, and then if you shut this off, it is green to let you know that it is safely turned off. Okay, so we finished our adapter cable and now we're ready to connect everything up. Before that, I recommend turning off the power station, turning off the actual battery, making sure all the breakers are shut off. You first want to connect up the XT60s. So we're going to take the XT60s and plug them in. They only go one way, so just make sure you're plugging them in properly. Next, we can take the actual cable and plug it into the battery expansion port. You just push it in and it clicks. And then we are good to turn on the power station and turn on the battery, and then we can flip the breaker. Now in the test, I'll be using the Pecron E1500. This should apply for any Pecron power station that has the internal 48-volt battery, so the E1000, the E2400, the F3000, and the E3600. So you should see similar results if you have one of those power stations. Now I will advise that you want to have both the expansion battery and the power station at 100% state of charge. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Now once we flipped on the breaker, we saw a little bit of current flowing out from this battery. You can see it's discharging into the Pecron power station, and that was in order to equalize the voltages. And that's why you want to make sure they are the same state of charge, because you don't want a ton of current flowing between the batteries. We want to try to keep it under 40 amps. So once this stops equalizing, I'm going to go ahead and turn on a load to see what happens. So for the first test, I've connected this 1500 watt heater into the power station inverter, and I'm using a watt meter to track all the energy that's coming out of the power station and battery. So let's see a breakdown of what power is coming from this battery going into the power station. So looking at the screen here, we are seeing 22 amps at 52 volts. So it's about 1100 watts flowing out from this battery going into the power station. Now the total wattage for this load is about 1400 watts. So 1100 watts here and the rest being powered by the internal battery on the power station. And that is about right because we have a little over 5100 watt hours here and 1500 watt hours here, and the power is distributed evenly for the size of the battery. Now I'm gonna let this run until it completely discharges and shuts down. We'll see how much energy we can get through the watt meter, and then we'll charge everything back up. Okay guys, the test just finished. It finally shut off once this battery hit 0% state of charge. For the last 30 minutes of the test, the power station was actually at 1% state of charge, and this battery was running the load. And after about 30 minutes, this one finally got down to 0 as well, and everything shut off. So now what I want to do is charge everything back up. I'm actually going to charge it with the AC input on the power station, and once the inverter is able to turn on, we'll see how much energy we pulled through the watt meter. So I've just connected in the AC charging cable. It's been charging for about 5 or 6 minutes so far, and we are getting a little over 500 watts input on the power station. So let's check to see what's happening on the battery. Take a look at this, guys. The battery is charging. We can see 8.4 amps going into the battery. So even though the power station is connected with AC charging input, it's also charging this battery automatically. That is awesome to see. Now I'm guessing we're getting about 11 to 12 amps total input. So a majority of it is going into this battery. So it's pretty cool to see that whenever you are charging the power station, it also passes power onto the DIY expansion battery. So it is kind of an automatic system so far. Now the only one downside here is that the E1500 does not have adjustable AC charging. So we're kind of just stuck at whatever it wants to do. And when you're at a low percent state of charge like this, it charges pretty slowly. Now the power station just hit 5% state of charge and the charging jumped up to 1300 watts. So with the higher charging speed, now we're getting 18.3 amps into the expansion battery, which is around 900 watts. So we have 900 watts going into this and about 400 watts going into the power station. Now going back to the usable capacity of this entire setup, well, it's rated for 6,656 watt hours, the battery and the power station, and we pulled 6,100 watt hours. So we actually pulled 91.6% of the advertised capacity. That's pretty good running through the AC inverter. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this run until both the power station and the battery are full. Now what I'm hoping is that the AC charging will be able to top off both of these to 100% state of charge. So it's been a few hours and I wanted to check in on the progress. So the E1500 is at 99% state of charge and it's charging at 565 watts. Now if we look at the battery screen, it's at 67% state of charge and it's still charging at 7.7 amps. Now of course I'm going to let the test go until the Pecron power station stops charging, and I'm hoping that it'll keep going until this gets completely full. Now what's interesting is you can push the DC button on the Pecron and it gives you the internal battery voltage, so it's sitting at 53.9 volts. And then if we look at the screen here, that is very close to the voltage of this battery, which is 53.86. Okay, so checking in a few hours later, look at this. The battery is at 100% state of charge, and same with the power station. You can see right here, 100% state of charge. So yes, charging with the AC cable on the power station also charges up the expansion battery fully. Now it did take a while because once the power station got to 95% state of charge, it dropped down the charging a bit. So it did take a while to kind of top off this battery, but it works automatically. Now for my next test, I want to run a consistent load on the AC inverter and DC output while connected to the expansion battery and charging with solar panels. I just want to make sure nothing's going to shut off randomly and that the solar can keep both the expansion battery and the power station charged up without any issues. Now I've just started this test. I have a timer running right here. I have a 250 watt heater plugged into the AC inverter. I have this 12 volt fan plugged into the DC output. We have 6 watts going out to the DC output, 230 watts going out to the AC inverter. I've also connected in solar panels. Now it's early morning right now, so we aren't seeing much solar, but I'm hoping that as solar ramps up, it will be able to keep both the power station and the expansion battery fully charged up, and we won't see any issues with the outputs shutting off. Now if we look at the screen of the battery, it is powering a portion of this load. we have 4 amps going from the battery into the power station. Now my plan is to run this test for about 12 hours. Now I'll check back in midday to see what's happening when we're getting peak solar input. Okay, so it's early afternoon. I thought I'd give you guys an update on the test so far, but before that, let's check out the solar that I have going into the power station. So this array right here is a 1200 watt array. There are 3 400 watt panels wired together in series. Now, the voltage on that is too high for the Pecron E1500, so I'm actually just using 2 of these panels in series. Now it's getting really good sun, so let's go check out the test results so far. So the test has been going for a little over 5.5 hours so far, and the heater and the fan are still running, so no issues with the AC inverter or DC output randomly shutting off. Now these did drop down in state of charge with the solar being low this morning, but we're getting plenty of solar now. So the battery is at 99% state of charge on standby, and the power station is at 100% state of charge. So basically we have enough solar coming in to run both of these loads without pulling from the batteries. So everything's working so far. I'm gonna let this go for probably a little over 12 hours. We'll come check in after the sun goes down to see what happens. Okay, so the sun went down about an hour ago. It's been 12 hours and 22 minutes since we started the test. Both the battery and the power station are at 97% state of charge. So yes, everything worked properly for this test. Ran it the entire day and I didn't see any issues. So the DIY expansion battery seems to be working perfectly. Now I have one final test that I want to run on this setup. I have this 48 volt charger that I've connected to the terminals here on the expansion battery, and I want to see if charging this battery directly will charge up the entire setup. Now this is an 18 amp charger, and if you look at this screen right here, we're getting 13.2 amps going into the expansion battery, and the rest of the power is flowing into the power station. So they actually both are charging up. Now the test has been going for about 20 minutes so far, and you'll notice that the state of charge of the battery and the power station are getting closer together. When I started this test, this was at 94% state of charge, and this was at 99% state of charge, and the charger is basically putting most of the power into this expansion battery. Now this concept here is basically the same as connecting up an external solar charge controller and a 1000 watt solar array, because this is a 1000 watt charger. So this would also work if you wanted to do this with solar panels. Okay, so the battery charger just shut off. The battery's at 100% state of charge, and so is the power station. So charging the battery directly will definitely charge up the entire system. Now the best news is the AC inverter and DC output are still enabled on the power station, so there weren't any issues with those shutting off even while charging from an external source. Well, after all the testing here in the video today, I've been very impressed with how well this mod actually works. If you're looking to add a bunch of capacity to a Pecron power station, you should be able to do this same setup, and if you are interested in that, I will include all the parts and adapters that I used in the video description. Now I'll also include a link to this battery, but be aware you don't have to use such a massive battery. You could use a 25 amp hour battery or a 50 amp hour battery. You just want to make sure that it's the same battery chemistry and voltage as the power station, so lithium iron phosphate and 51.2 volts nominal. Now this was a super fun mod, so if you guys have any other ideas of mods or tests that I should be doing on power stations, make sure you leave those in a comment down below. Now, I appreciate you guys' support of the channel. As always, if you liked the video, please smash the thumbs up button. I'll recommend a couple other videos that you can check out as well. And hopefully, we'll see you guys in the next one.